And you know the procedure. We have to click go live, and then we have to share the video, and then we have to hear the audio coming from your phone. It's a whole ordeal, folks. Like, it's a whole thing when we do this. Then Alf has to be in the corner. There we go. Share. And then share to the feed.
Let's see here.
Okay, and we got that going. Are you hearing it? Typically, when it comes through on your phone, that's how we know the audio is good.
Oh, it's on.
Oh, it's on.
I literally turned everything down.
Oh, you're so...
I did it before. I literally turned it down, and it's still doing the sound.
You're very considerate. I appreciate that. All right. Now I'm going to record. We have our levels. I think we have our levels. All right. You ready?
Let's go.
Hey, Matt.
Kenny.
So I'm noticing you're wearing one of your two outfits that you're famous for.
Just white t-shirts.
Plain white t-shirt. You know, you could be rocking a Two Moose t-shirt if you just go to twomoose.com/merch. I actually have some kind of alarming news. I don't want to say bad news, but kind of alarming news.
Alarming. So you sound the alarms?
We got word that come August 1st, printing prices will be a bit higher. Now, it's not going to drastically affect, but all of our merch will be a few cents higher per item. So that means, because our vendor, basically, it costs more to print. So that means if you want to get the good prices, buy your merch now. twomoose.com/merch before it all goes up. It's everything.
Let's be real. If you were going to buy one already, you probably would have bought one already.
But you know what? If you're thinking about, I need to get my Christmas gifts going on, let me go ahead
6 months early.
and let me lock in those prices today.
Lock them in.
Lock it in.
Chain it up. Lock it.
Exactly. But that's what you need to do. twomoose.com/merch. And again, don't want to alarm it. It's not like the prices are going to skyrocket. It's not going to be like, oh, a $20 shirt's now $50. It's not it at all. It's just going to go up just incrementally on all of our items. So,
Well, that's unfortunate.
Yes, it is. But it's cost of business. Our vendor is great. Spreadshirt has done an awesome job. I don't want to knock them, but it's just the cost of business. So you need to make sure that you're getting your Two Moose merchandise now before it's too late.
You know whose fault it is? You know whose fault it is that the prices have gone up?
Obama! Enjoy the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, there are seven acknowledged wonders of the world. You are about to witness the eighth.
It's been 6 weeks, my friend.
It's been a minute. I almost escaped it.
When I proposed when we should do a show, you tried to blow me off with some dinner plans, and then I was like, "How about today?" So I think I cornered you in. It's that scene in The Office where Michael pretends that everyone has to work late to cancel their plans, but it was all a ruse. So he basically is like, you know what? No one has to work late. Everyone go home, right? And then he's like, hey, you want to do dinner? He goes, I can't. He goes, oh, you said you had no plans. Caught him. He caught him. I think that's what I did. Hey, guys, it is Two Moves, episode 82. I'm Kenny.
I am Matt.
Can you believe it? 81, 6 weeks ago. We're just now getting to 82.
Wow. Just doing back to back.
It's
Back to back to back to back to
It's
back.
been crazy. We're just on such a rush. You could always interact with the show in many different ways, and a lot of you have during the last few weeks. You could always email us, show@twomoose.com. Text us at 347-MY-MOOSE, and you could always interact on our Facebook page, which is what a lot of you have been doing. Dominic, who is an avid listener, not from the Orlando area, chimed in wanting to know. I completely forgot. I knew we talked about it, but he was asking, like you and I said that we had some delicious breadsticks, and he could not remember
I stand by
where it was.
that. They were not breadsticks, mozzarella sticks.
Mozzarella sticks. I'm sorry, you're right. Mozzarella sticks.
Mozzarella sticks.
And
I mean, those to this day still unbeaten.
It
Best
tur-
mozzarella
It
sticks.
turned
I've
out
ever
to be
had.
Duffy's, which has closed many locations.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so if you are in the area, please go to Duffy's and check out their cheese sticks because they are
Let them know Matt and
absolutely
Kenny sent you.
amazing. They will be like, what the hell? And then Carmen, Trucker Carmen, what's the Florida version of Live, Laugh, Love?
Ooh.
Now, a lot of people had some. It was a lot of good answers. A lot of them
What are
was,
some- what do we got?
flip flops, pub subs, and meth.
Okay.
That was a pretty good
I was
one.
going to say you got to throw something in there about traffic or like I-4.
That was mine. Was sweat, regret, and depression.
But that could go for any southern state.
Maybe. But I'll tell you right now. Win Dixie John,
Hmm?
vacation, probation. What in tarnation? That was good. That was pretty- I
that's
like the rhyming of it.
That's what they say about Florida. You come here on vacation, you leave on probation.
Yep. And then
What in tarnation?
And then every news story that comes out of the state. What in tarnation? Yosemite Sam hasn't had much action lately, has he?
When do you think that saying "tarnation" like officially like went extinct?
When extinct, like you mean?
like when did people stop using it?
Well, no. I honestly think Yosemite Sam was the last person to ever use it,
Ever.
and I know that.
But like was that a common phrase? What in tarnation?
What in tarnation?
I mean, it's like you could just say, "What the hell?"
You know that's actually
Instead.
a very good point.
What is the definition of tarnation?
So tarnation, it's Latin apparently.
The nation of
The
tar.
act or process of damnation.
Oh,
So it's like you're damning something and you're cursing it
so why not just say "what in damnation"?
because tarnation's funnier. Listen, when your butt is on fire and the only way to put it out is to sit in a bucket of water, the only appropriate response is what in tarnation.
Because Bugs Bunny got to you
Yep.
again.
Yep. Yet again.
But no one uses that phrase anymore.
That is true. Again, I think, what is it? 1996's Space Jam was, I think, the last time that Yosemite Sam truly...
It wasn't used in
I
the
have no-
second Space Jam.
I have no idea. I didn't hear it. That being said, you know how Elmer Fudd would have cartoons with Bugs Bunny, and then he'd have cartoons with Daffy Duck? So Yosemite Sam never had a Daffy Duck experience. Yosemite Sam was only a Bugs Bunny enemy.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like you had the crossover...
I was gonna say, was Speedy Gonzalez, was he part of?
I mean, he's part of the Looney Tunes,
Okay.
but his was
But
normally...
there was like no crossovers with that dude.
Yeah, same Pepe Le Pew, and again, unless obviously we understand Space Jam and like the Looney Tunes movies, like we get that. But yeah, those were the standalones.
Space Jam. Space Jam is like the culmination of all Looney Tunes. That's like the Avengers Endgame of
Yeah.
Looney Tunes.
I-
It's let's get
be honest-
let's get all of the heroes together to combat against the big bad villain.
Now that you mention that, they're very similar plots. You had aliens coming from afar.
Yep.
Think about the blip wiped out half the people. The aliens wiped out the best talent of the NBA.
Yep.
Basically rendered them useless. It took a collective of humans and cartoons, all different types of cartoons, all different types of humans, because you had Newman from Seinfeld, and you had Bill Murray, and then you had Michael Jordan.
I don't even remember those characters.
No,
I
Bill-
just know Michael Jordan was in it.
Yeah, okay. Well, Bill Murray and the guy who played Newman from Seinfeld were also in
Okay.
it. So.
Well, at any rate, it's basically Avengers Endgame.
Yes, it is. So I think the Warner Brothers has a lawsuit coming against Disney Marvel. And then another thing too is a lot of people were talking about the Wellington family. So a beef Wellington is a nice meat in a pastry, and it's normally considered high class,
But it's like is it prime rib?
typically, or tenderloin.
Tenderloin,
Yeah.
And see, I would have ordered. I've never had a beef Wellington because I don't like mushroom, and I know that there's like
Yeah,
a layer in there of
But
mushroom.
you can easily pick that off and you get still delicious tenderloin wrapped in pastry. But if you take that concept, because if you do the whole like you have like a ham and cheese sandwich, is that going to be the same as like a chicken tender sandwich? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
are they
yeah.
in the same family? So in the Wellington family, if you're talking about meat surrounded by pastry, you have to include corn dogs.
Yep.
You have to include Hot Pockets. You have to include pigs in a blanket.
Right, but Pop Tart is
That one threw me off.
because that's a fruit.
It is a fruit, but if you
That's-
think about content surrounded by pastry, then technically It does that.
Okay.
And then also someone posted a garlic bread spaghetti sandwich, and that just made us hungry. Anyway,
That does look good.
but yeah, you could always reach out to us on numerous methods in order to hang out. It has been a while since we've hung out and discussed with y'all, so I just had some quickie things that we talked about. Tom and Dan, great local podcast in the area. I am friends with them, and I do a lot of cross promotion on that show. They had a beer release event that was involved with trivia as well.
Okay.
So I went there, and in order to try to promote our show, I made our team name Two Moves.
Oh.
So I made our trivia team name Two Moves. When they
Why didn't you invite me to the trivia?
I did. You were not available.
Okay.
And so when they announced the teams and the scores, heavy boos, lots of booing from the crowd. Because again, don't get me wrong,
I don't.
they love us, they love the Moofs, but it was one of those where they were booing because they're like, oh boy, look at this shameless promotion in the middle of a Tom and Dan event. Because we didn't pay to be there. You know what I mean? It's like not like we paid for advertising. So they were more so booing me as a human being than the show.
Look, it's as they should. Look, just go to the grocery store. You're gonna get booed. People don't
Pretty
even
much.
know who you are. Just you get booed.
That is true. I will say, ran into a listener, didn't know their name. I'm not ashamed to say I have my medical marijuana card, and I go to a doctor downtown. And as I was pulling in, I walked out, and someone in their truck said, "Hey, are you Kenny from Two Moves?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I am." He goes, "Oh, okay, cool. Hey, nice. I listen," and then drove away. So I have no idea who it was. So I'm like,
Let us identify yourselves.
"Yeah, that was great." But they just came from getting their medical card
Interesting.
renewed,
We
so.
we talked about that early on. Where we ever get to a point where someone who we didn't know listened to the show reached out to you and
turned out-
was like, "Hey, aren't you so and so on that show?"
I don't know if I knew this person or not, but I will say it happened to us at an Orlando City match where someone yelled moves at us. It took me a bit to realize who they were, and I ended up knowing them.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all there.
I was there for that.
And then
I was there for
I was also in Toronto, Canada, doing a show in my high-paying job.
You say Toronto, Canada, as if
That
simply
is true.
saying Toronto wouldn't have been
That,
sufficient.
you're right. I hate when people do that.
You were talking about like Toronto, Oklahoma.
Yeah, exactly. You're right. You're right. Hey, listen, when you're right, you're right. But I was in Canada, and I had a discussion with some Canadians who were part of the show I was working about, like the nuances between Canada and the U.S. that we can agree with and appreciate. So one of the things was like, hey, listen, I love ketchup chips. Like, I think they're delicious.
We've gone over this.
Yeah,
Disgusting.
They're absolutely amazing.
As you would say, disgusto barfo.
El Disgusto Barfo. I listen, don't mind the metric system. I get it. You know, it's a little bit easier and stuff. So Celsius is still weird when they say, oh, it's going to be 22 degrees out. And I'm like, what? Is that hot or cold?
Yeah.
I don't know. The one thing that I don't understand is they have milk in bags. And that's a normal thing with them.
Like an IV bag.
Like, it's just like this bladder. And
Yeah.
you get a pitcher and you put it in there. But here's the thing. You don't pour the milk in the pitcher.
Like
you,
you're saying, like at a grocery store.
like at a grocery store, you would buy a bag of milk. And it's supposed to be more economical, or not economical, eco-friendly, because you don't have to deal with everything. So you just have this bladder.
But when you so questions. I
Yep.
mean, how easily does it get punctured?
Okay, so that's the thing. You have to cut 2 holes because you have to have a vent hole and the pour hole. And you take that and it fits cylindrically in a pitcher. So that way, when you need to use it, you lift up the pitcher lid and then you lift up the bag so
Yeah.
it can pour out.
I was gonna say, how does it stand up in your?
Yeah, you have to
fridge?
put it in a pitcher. I think that's insanity.
That's just too much.
I
Work.
think that exactly. It's way too much work, and I'm like,
Because you can get like the
milk cartons,
the
paper
cartons.
cartons.
The cartons. First, I don't like the cartons, but they're recyclable. But now they have the plastic ones that
Yeah.
you can still recycle that stuff.
And that's the thing. If it was one of those where the U.S. was the only one, like the rest of the world used the bags and we were I could understand that. Literally, the rest of the world uses cartons and plastic. I don't know why Canada does the milk in the bags.
Cut 'em
But
off.
They did say that when they were kids, the chocolate milk that you would get in school would also come in it, and it wouldn't be like a Capri Sun because Capri Sun can stand upright.
And we know about
Oh yeah.
drinking Capri Suns
Well,
in under 10 seconds.
I do. You know about spilling it all over the console.
That was 16 weeks ago.
They would have the chocolate milk, and they would just have to puncture the bag, but then the bag would just lay there, like
Right, like a
wouldn't
blob.
it wouldn't stand upright. So it's just like
Yeah, like if you want to start eating on the tray at lunch,
Yeah.
you have to keep monitoring your bag so it doesn't like flip
Yeah.
over or something. You have to like constantly have your hand on this bag.
Yep. Or one of the compartments of your tray has to be saved for it. You know what I mean? Like sitting there. So that was weird. And then one of the things that they mentioned that they don't understand about the U.S. is we have light beer and they don't. Now, yes, it technically exists because, like, for example, Molson is their Budweiser. So they make a light beer and they know it's not for Canadians. It's literally meant for anyone else. But the U.S. has a light version of everything, and they don't understand that. They're like, why would you have a light version of a beer? Like, beer is supposed to be filling and full, not light. Like, they didn't understand that concept.
This is why we are universally hated.
Because we have light beer.
And we have our milk in boxes.
Again, everywhere else in the world puts milk in normal containers
Look,
except for
I just go
Canada.
straight to the source. You just
Suck on the teat.
right in the backyard. Just get me a tin bucket
Oh boy.
and
Okay.
just fill it up.
Did you ever take a field trip to like a farm
Oh, yeah,
in
yeah,
elementary
yeah,
school,
yeah.
and then you actually got to milk a cow?
Oh yeah.
Did they have to do the thing in order to train you? It's like, all right, guys, you like hold your finger down, and then you're gonna practice squeezing down on your finger.
No, it was more like who wants to just come up and try it.
They did it where we all got a turn, so we all had to practice because you don't just like grab it. You know what I mean? You have to
Yeah.
like squeeze and pull,
Right.
squeeze and pull.
Right, but it's difficult for someone who doesn't know what they're doing, right? You get
Yeah.
like a little bit of a dribble out, and then like the person that's giving the tour just like comes up, grabs it, and it's just like it's a freaking
Fire hose.
fire hose water gun of milk against the bucket.
Well, I like the fact when they kind of like can do a rhythmic pattern where it's like between like two udders into the bucket.
I've never heard anyone.
You've never
play
seen
music.
someone milk a cow? No, not that they're playing music, but they're just like, because it's just they're getting the solid rhythm. This looks really bad on camera, but they're getting the solid rhythm of milking two teats, and it's hitting the bucket at like a consistent pace.
You could get the Wisconsin Cow Orchestra together
Ooh.
and make like it's like a Blue Man Group.
If you had if you can do washboard as an instrument, I don't see why you can't do milking a cow as
You
an
gotta-
instrument.
Look, Blue Man Group. Now you have it's sponsored by Chick-fil-A
Okay.
because they
I
the
get it.
cows. Look,
Why
just
wouldn't it
make
be
your own
sponsored by Got Milk?
music. No.
Okay.
Chick-fil-A wants in on this.
Chick-fil-A wants in on this musical abomination. So the last show I did, which is a part of it, I did another conference for disabled people. And I know last year when I talked about it, I talked about the really funny, but probably shouldn't have laughed at it, about two blind people getting drunk. And then they were trying to walk to like the elevators from the hotel bar. And they had their canes, and they're both, and they're blind and drunk. Again, they're adults. They can do whatever they want.
I do
But
remember
they're
the
just
story.
whipping their canes like all
Yeah,
around,
yeah,
trying to whatever. And it was quite funny. Well, this one, again, adults, you had some disabled people, you had some able-bodied people, and it was, you know how, let's say, when you, me, and maybe like two or three other people, we're walking, like we're in Vegas walking down the strip, and we'll just goof on each other, like we'll flat tire, or, maybe like kick the heel or something like that, or tap on the shoulder to get them to spin around,
Yeah.
goofy stuff like that, because we're goofing around.
The kids games.
Yeah. Well, this one, it was someone in a motorized wheelchair with a joystick, and then two able-bodied people, right? And, a person has their hand on the joystick, they're going for it, but they're all drunk. You know what I mean? They're all like laughing.
Right.
Well, as they're doing it, one of the able-bodied people just reaches over to the joystick and just starts shoving it to the left, so
Like
the person,
redirecting
yeah,
it?
like so the person starts like spinning around in circles, and they're just laughing, they're just having fun, and I'm like, in any other context, you would be
That's like super bullying.
like you would be considered the worst human being in the world if you're just walking along with
that
someone in a
would make a
motorized
good
wheelchair.
like impractical Joker's
Like to see people's reaction that you walk up to someone in a wheelchair and you just start messing with their joystick so they start spinning around in circles.
You just take the battery out of the back.
Oh man.
Like, what are you gonna do?
But and then they were doing the thing like, so okay, she was spinning around, they were laughing, and then someone, and then they decide to do the thing where they hop on the back like it's a shopping cart, and they're like, all right, now go, like drag me along. And obviously it's not meant for the weight of three people, so they couldn't move. And again, I'm sure it's destroying the wheelchair, but they're just laughing, they're drunk, having a fun time. And again, it was one of those where like, should I have laughed at that?
I think you should have partaken in it. I think you should have joined in. You might as well.
It's like,
that might be your only opportunity ever
That's true.
to make fun of a handicapped person
What
at
if
their
I
expense.
jumped on her lap and be like, I want to go for a ride, and then she takes me for a spin? That wasn't a sexual thing. I meant for like to experience it.
Be like, I just hop on and be like, don't worry, I'm not going far.
Yeah, I consider them like a lift service, and I just was like, to the ballroom, please. And then I can just get on my phone as if like I'm expecting them.
5 stars.
It's like, I'm sorry, my session starts in 10 minutes. I'm going to need you to hurry it up.
Uber driver.
But yeah, and then it was another thing too where hotel bar, after any conference, everyone gets drunk, they get super loud. And it was loud, but then I was noticing half the people were speaking sign language, so they were silent. But it was loud as hell. So I'm like, oh, God.
Are they just signing really loud? Like it's like clapping?
No,
like,
no.
Like you can hear...
But it was that weird thing where, you know how deaf people laugh sometimes? Like they'll make an audible noise, but it's not like a normal laugh because they're deaf.
Right.
A lot of that was going on.
Because they don't have that internal...
Correct.
what's it called? It's like the internal voice.
Yeah. And I'm not making fun of it at all. But when you're not expecting it and you just hear that noise constantly, it sounds like someone like fell down a flight of stairs and they're like in pain. It reminds me of the I can't breathe, like the
okay.
grape lady.
Okay. That's a classic
Yeah, it
video,
is.
by the way.
But a deaf person laughing like out of nowhere uncontrollably sounds like that. Ow, 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 like that noise.
But okay, so think about this. Like when you laugh, it's just a natural like knee-jerk reaction, right? Like I feel like you can't help it. So when a deaf person laughs, why would it? I'm curious. Like why would it sound different? Than like as if you naturally. Like let me put it like this: if you're deaf and you were to cough or sneeze, would it like that wouldn't sound different?
That's true, but if you're laughing and it's using vocal cords, but your vocal cords were never developed or ever like worked out, if you will.
Okay.
Your vocal cords, yes, it's a natural laugh reaction, but because you're not constantly talking, it's never developing properly. So maybe it's just developing weird.
I'll accept this.
Look at that.
This theory.
Who needs doctors when you have the two moves?
Doctor, my laugh sounds weird. The doctor says what you just said. Repeat. Look, there's a joke there.
I was
deaf man walks into a deaf guy walks into a doctor's office and says
the fact
I just know me laughing there. I almost wanted to shift it up to deaf laughing, but I don't want to be disrespectful.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's the level of disrespect you don't want to hit. Just know a majority of our listeners are audio, so the fact that I got to see you do what you just did made it even better.
And they could probably hear it. Look, next episode is for blind people.
If you're deaf and you're listening to this, let us know if that joke resonated with you. Sounds good?
Look, deaf people are watching our show and they're watching with closed captions.
That is true.
We have ADA closed captions on our show.
I thought you were pointing at Alf when you're doing that. I'm like,
he is ADA, yeah.
Oh boy. So then, again, I know it's like pretty much all about me at this point. Another thing that I did, remember I talked to you about the Starbucks commercial a while back in Wekiva Springs. It finally came out. I was just a big orange or a yellow blob in the background. Mm-hmm. Well, I did another shoot for Disney.
Rather than just being a big old blob in the foreground.
Exactly. Listen, story of my life. I did a shoot for Disney Cruise Lines, and they have the new Disney Wish out there. And again, I was a featured background to where I got to sit in the Avengers dining hall. So it's like a sit-down dining restaurant that is all Avengers themed, and the whole thing I'm supposed to be sitting there and reacting to like Spider-Man running around and doing that. Now there's families that are like the main talent. They sit up front. They're the ones interacting, but they obviously want to make it seem natural, so every once in a while, Spider-Man will turn around and interact with the table that I'm at. It was awesome. Now, I felt bad for that Spider-Man dude because he had to constantly like do the gimmick and shtick over and over and over and over again because it was both for print and for video.
Okay.
So it was like really weird. But I will say they fed us so well because they gave us the actual food that's on there.
So this is on the cruise?
On the ship. Now, we didn't go out to sea. It was at the port.
Right.
But it was one of those where, like, for acting purposes, we're just supposed to take baby bites, but we're supposed to, like, actually eat and stuff like that to make it natural. And then what ended up happening was when they said cut and they're done, we all had to get up and leave so they can reset for the next thing. But it became a thing because we had like this delicious food in front of us. We're taking like little mini bites, like, all right, cut, that's it. And then as soon as we did that, they're like,
everyone's downing it.
like Garfield
Yeah.
with lasagna. We were just shoving our faces because I mean, it's one of those, they're, no pun intended, they're running a tight ship. So they needed us to like get out so they can reset because it's still an active ship. It had to go out to sea at like 4:00. So
Okay.
they needed to get all of this done before like people started boarding. So that was kind of fun that they did
So
that.
what kind of food were they serving?
They gave us desserts first, which was kind of cool. And they had like a mousse cake, and they had a giant like whipped cream sundae with a donut on top. They had a lava cake. They had tiramisu, cheesecake, key lime pie, and it was like a whole thing. That was a majority of it. Was all desserts. So we,
Tiramisu, right up my alley.
yeah, it is so good. And then for the food wise, it was just that because it was catered towards family, so it was the standard burgers and chicken tenders and fries and stuff like that. That was after we as a crew broke for lunch. Now the cool thing is because we were on the ship, our lunch was the cruise buffet. So we actually
Okay.
like got to
The full
go
on-
up to the full like buffet.
So how many people are getting to partake in this buffet?
So there were about 30 background actors, I would say a good 15 main actors, and then a crew of about, I'd say another dozen or so. And so we all got to do, and again, this was when no one else is really on the boat other than the other cruise employees.
Yeah.
So it was kind of cool just to go into that hall and
right,
like now.
an empty ship.
It wasn't the dinner cruise like thing, so there was no like crab legs or anything like that. But it was still pretty.
They're doing the whole commercial, and everyone's got like desserts, and you over here with like snow crab, like when you like brought your own crackers and stuff like that.
Spider-Man's like going around high-fiving, and he turns to me and he's like, "Where the
You have the bib going on.
Yeah, it's like, where the fuck did you get crab legs? Completely breaking character. So what was cool, again, it was an open ship, and it was one of those, they gave us badges because we were like considered vendors, so we had to have that at all times unless we were doing the shoot. Well, there were some times where, it's like, oh, okay, cool. So extras, we're going to do a bathroom break. We'll see you in like 15 minutes. And I'm like, okay, cool. I just took off my badge and I just started wandering around the ship as if like I'm a passenger, because they do allow some people to board early.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
there were some passengers out there. And I'm telling you right now, this cruise line is spectacular. I know you're not the biggest Disney fan, but you can appreciate like
Yeah.
how Disney does
The thing
things up.
is Disney doesn't have the casinos.
I know, that is the
on their
bummer.
cruise.
They don't
That's
do
the
that.
thing is like and Disney cruises are like so expensive.
Yeah.
But I haven't been on a cruise in a long time, man. But the new Royal Caribbean cruise
Yeah?
coming out, the I forget what it's called, but it's supposed to be the biggest cruise ever.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I heard definitely a lot about that. That with the Disney one, they do a lot of stuff that caters to adults. I will admit, because they have a lot on the itinerary.
You've been on one?
No, just being on the ship, I could see the itinerary and stuff like that. There is a lot of no, adults only in this area. This party, 18 and up only. This, even though it might be a restaurant, 18 and up only. Like this, they did like a silent disco. 18 and up only, and it's just like, hey, and then there are other places that are 21 and up.
So what do they do with the kids like late at night when the parents want to go out?
There are so many theaters and so many like play areas. I'm sure it's
But
just,
you can't like put the kid down to sleep and then go out.
I mean, you technically could if you leave them in the room. Otherwise,
They're
again,
gonna hop off over the balcony.
lock them in. But that's why, I mean, they do have the. I think those 18 and up and 21 and up are catering towards those adults that do Disney cruises. We're actually we know someone who's getting married next year, and we'll talk about him off air. But he's getting married on a Disney cruise.
Oh,
so I'm
all right.
actually doing that. But
I didn't get an invite to that.
no, you did not. Again, I'll tell you who you know of him. I don't think you
Fuck
like
me, then.
Yeah, I know, right? But I will say they have theaters galore, and I guarantee this cruise line is definitely one of those like parents are going to be really terrible and just like drop their kids off and let the employees babysit
That's
them.
what I would do.
Yeah, exactly. But it was a lot of fun. It was very efficient. Like with the Starbucks one, like we were in the water for 3 some hours, and they were doing all these different takes, and then it ended up being 15 seconds of blob in the background. And I peed a lot in that pool. This one,
This one peed a lot, but in the
Listen,
in the dinner area.
I peed a lot, and Spider-Man noticed it and yelled at me. And then he said, "Everyone gets one." But for this one, it was very efficient. Like it was one of those: we're in, shot, take, and we're done. Get out. Next shot. Okay, let's get in. Take, and we're out. So yeah, it was kind of cool just to like experience all that. So that one, I am sitting like next to some of the families in certain shots. The last thing I'll say about that, so I got hired because of my looks. They wanted me to be part of an LGBT couple. So they're like, "Do you want to be part of a gay couple?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I don't mind. Whatever. It's just acting." It was that implied. So it wasn't where like we're holding hands or we're whatever, but it was one of those, if we're sitting, you know how on cruises sometimes at the dinner table you sit with like 6 other people or something.
Yeah.
It was one of those where, okay, if you look at it, it's me and another guy, and then across from us are like old grandparents, and then to the left of us is clearly a male, female with kids. So it's
that
implied.
puts you guys together.
It implies that we're together. So that's kind of what it was. So that was the first set of shots before, right? And then the second set of shots, we're supposed to sit in our same groups, but just because of how things were, I ended up sitting, and then
you were like, okay, you step in, you're like, I'm going to sit next to the old lady, and then my partner over here is going to sit next to the old guy.
Yep.
To try and mix it all up, and the director's like, no, sir.
No.
Switch it back.
We know that. Well, so here's what happened. So I ended up sitting it was supposed to be me and my quote unquote partner with a husband and wife. Now, funny enough, the husband and wife were actually married. So the husband and wife, and what ended up happening was they needed to use, because of like the lights that they had to put, they needed to use like the side. So that's like, hey, other dude and other husband, we're going to use you for a different shot. Just get out. So I was just eating dinner with the wife. So in canon, it looks like she was with her dude. I was with my guy. We had dinner. And then the next day, we decided,
This is a swingers cruise.
let's not worry about our significant others. Let's just you and I have some dinner together.
It's a swingers
While
Disney cruise.
Spider-Man jumps around and scares us because that's what he does.
Well, the plot twist is the husband was Spider-Man, and that's why he wasn't around.
Oh, man. That would have been a good plot twist. But yeah, I thought it was interesting because, again, we're in the background, so it doesn't truly matter. But I want to see like the video or the photo shoots and then create my own story of background acting of like this torrid affair and, whatever. Or it's one of those where there's like a third shoot and then you see like police officers in the background because the husband went missing. And then you
got to start a rumor online about the commercial,
the missing husband.
Yeah.
And then you see
You gotta be like, they actually had to keep shooting because they couldn't find the husband. It turns out he snuck onto the boat and shot himself. Something very dark.
No, see, I was gonna make it to where it's like the wife secretly killed him during the shoot and
Okay.
try to pass it off as, oh, my gay friend, I'm just gonna have dinner with him.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, we can make this work. We can make this
You
work.
gotta start the rumor.
But that's what I was doing this past weekend. It was a lot of fun, way more fun than the Starbucks one. I didn't get paid as much because Starbucks gave me like hazard pay for being in the water.
Oh, yeah.
But this one, it was just like, all right, listen, I'll eat free Disney food for all day. Like that was a hell of a lot of fun. But I made those noises on camera. You can bet that. But anyway, again, that seemed to be all about me and everything that was going on in my life. Matt, what have you been up to this past 6 weeks?
See, I didn't have any topics for the show. I got nothing.
No,
man.
I get it. But you went to Cincinnati.
There's nothing important about that trip.
You went to Fort Myers after.
That was the day after. Still nothing crazy. Dude, I'm telling you, I got nothing for that.
Here's the
Past
thing.
6 weeks, I got nothing. That's why we didn't have a show.
I have another story, and I'll save it for the next show, but I encountered some crazy travel issues that you and I talked about, but I was saving that until after maybe a story that you had.
What were they?
I texted you how I was in Miami.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's,
I'll explain the frustration and what I did,
you
but
could save that for another time.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. But so you got nothing, huh?
I got nothing.
6 weeks and nothing exciting happened to you.
I put up a new fence, man.
There was a topic you and I wanted to talk about.
What was that?
The discussion we had at Golden Corral, which, by the way, we went to the Golden Corral not in the attractions area, and it was slightly better, but like
Yeah, there's still issues.
slightly.
We're in search for the best golden crown. I don't remember what we were talking about.
About what happened the night before that you called me at 6 a.m.
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
Do you want to save that to the next show?
Yeah, save it for the next
All
show.
right, so listen, we already have our topics for the next show. That experience and my experience.
All right.
All right?
It's good. I mean,
It's a good.
My story's pretty good.
It's a good experience.
It is the good.
All right, guys.
You have to wait 6 weeks before we get to it.
Oh, jeez. All right. Well, you know what? We're gonna just move along to our news segment. There's been a lot happening, but I still only whittled it down to 4 stories. So here is our favorite time. What's going on?
Oh, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Yeah, what's going on? What's going on? Oh, what's going on?
What's going on? Brought to you by our amazing sponsors, Amber over at Classic Man Cuts. I have an appointment with her beard only because she has set my hair up proper for a big thing that I'll be pulling off
big thing?
in a couple of weeks. So
A big thing.
You know
Are
it.
you gonna perm it?
maybe
Curl it?
maybe. Flip
I
it and
went
reverse it.
on Friday. I had a great time.
No, she's fantastic. Check her out, classicmancuts.com. Also, our friends at Her Majesty Services. It is the summertime. If you don't have kids, you don't have free labor around the house cleaning up your house. So make sure you call Jessica, Jennifer and Ashley. Wow. They're going to be so... All right, we're going to cut this, and we're going to start over.
We've never edited anything on this show.
That is true. Make sure you reach out to Jennifer and Ashley
We do
over
it
at
live.
Her Majesty Services so you can get your place clean and extend it to businesses too. You can get your business clean. And then our friends, I know that they haven't been a sponsor in a while just because they had some issues in the background, but we're going to try to bring them on again. Declassified Cosmetics. They just released their Mothman line, and it's a whole palette
That's a
of eye
scary
shot.
movie.
Exactly.
That's scary as hell.
And especially if you know like the lore behind it.
It's creepy.
But they, I'm going to toss them a free plug. Declassified Cosmetics. Check them out if you want some makeup based on the conspiratorial and the spooky. So check them out. I'm going to try to get them again as a sponsor, but
All right.
I get it. They had some issues going on, so can leave it at that. All right, here is what's going on. Oh God, waiting. All right,
Fail.
here we go. As you know, Matt, I'm from Thailand.
I don't know.
You don't know that I'm from Thailand? I'm half Thai.
I don't think you were born in Thailand.
I wasn't born there, but I'm
you're
half
not
Thai.
from there, but go on.
I've been to Thailand before, and they do have a lot of interesting things at their fast food restaurants, like in the McDonald's and Burger Kings. They had bone-in fried chicken at their McDonald's. Yeah, so I thought that was interesting. And then they had this thing. It's basically an iced chocolate, where it's basically like a slushy drink, but it's chocolate.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's all right.
But that's what I'm saying.
I feel like slushy's usually fruity.
That's why I'm saying it's weird. Well, the Burger King in Thailand is going to do something called the Real Cheeseburger. And
yeah.
the Real Cheeseburger does not have any meat. It is instead 20 slices of cheese.
Gross.
It is literally a burger for the equivalent of about $3.13. You can get to it. Apparently, a lot of people tried it and they love it.
It's just burger and cheese.
It was- yeah.
It's like a grilled cheese. And it's not even grilled. It's just slices.
Well, they did say that they did heat it up a little bit so it has a little bit of melt because it's not like the cold sliced cheese that you have. But imagine.
This is making me want Arby's, to be
So
honest.
imagine like, you know how when you buy the Kraft singles, it's like 24 to a pack?
Right.
Imagine like just under that and just like holding that as a brick and then just biting into it.
Right. There's no way.
Well,
That sounds awful.
it seems to be a huge favorite. Young people in Thailand are going crazy for it. They're eating it up like crazy. So don't be surprised.
Whenever you share the stories of like these fast food places rolling out
Yeah.
unique burgers or unique whatever like items, it's always in a foreign country. Like they never
Oh,
do
yeah.
it here.
Yeah, because
Like we don't get anything like that.
I think it's probably less cost because there are fewer stores there, fewer overhead, fewer marketing dollars. Because if they tried doing it here, they'd have to spend so much money to try to promote.
All I know
promote
is
it.
I watched that documentary, that biopic is what it's called, on the Flamin' Cheetos dude.
Yeah,
That
how was it?
guy. It's a solid movie. He basically was like, he was working in the warehouse at Frito-Lay, and he wasn't really going anywhere, and he felt like Fritos wasn't listening to the Hispanic community, so he like came up with his own spice and then put it on everything, and he pitched it to the CEO of Frito-Lay, and
The rest
the
is
rest
history.
is history, man.
Love it.
But
That's awesome.
that dude had some gumption. Flamin' hot Cheetos. Anyway, my point is we don't get anything fun like that.
That is true. Gumption. Does that? Do you think the word gumption is used more recently than tarnation?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So you say that, but I will say I think the things that we enjoy, we just revamp. Instead of something brand new like an all cheese cheeseburger, we get the Doritos Locos Tacos, where it's taking things we already love and making it into another thing we love.
Okay, so like the Mountain Dew,
Correct. The
spice,
Mountain
or the
Mountain
spiked
Dew
Mountain
seltzer.
Dew.
Yeah, the spiked Mountain Dews. They
Right,
also
we
do
like
the-
alcohol.
Yeah.
And we like Mountain Dew.
They also do like, people like Funyuns, people like Ruffles. Let's do Funyun flavored Ruffles. Like, you know what I mean? I think that's where America's introductory is going.
Why mess up a great thing already? It's like, just take what we know it's good. There's low risk.
Yeah, that's, listen, America,
You won't find me
we have light beer.
You won't find me eating a 27 sliced cheese burger. No, without a burger.
That's actually that was a scene in a Simpsons episode. I think Burns and Smithers were trying to break into the Simpsons household, so they had like those suction cup things up on the ceiling. And Homer, like sleepwalking, goes into the kitchen and pulls out like a jumbo-sized thing of Kraft cheese, and he just peels one and just eats them one by one until the early morning. And
Kraft cheese is so gross.
he's just
to me.
eating just American cheese. Well, you and I are fans of the Kobe and the onion volcano and all that
May
stuff.
he rest in peace.
The owners of a Japanese steakhouse on the panhandle of Florida
I heard the
ended
story.
up closing. And the reason why, apparently, they had found that some of their soy sauce contained meth.
Yep.
Apparently, it was investigated. A lot of people were hospitalized after eating, and upon doing it, they realized that 2 soy sauce bottles and a bunch of unopened to-go packets
But it's-
came back tested positive for meth.
It's just wild that, if you went and ate there and had the soy sauce and you're like, you don't feel all there afterwards, something's wrong with your body and like your heart rate's elevated, something's going on. And then someone had to have gotten like tested, but like there's got to be something wrong with me. And they tested, and the doctor's like, you have methamphetamines
Yes, you have meth in your system.
in your system.
And that's only the
And
people
then they had to tie it back to the Japanese restaurant
because
because it could have just been anything.
enough people would have had to complain that they all figured it out. Now, the only thing is maybe like when they tested their blood, it was like, this has meth and yum yum sauce.
I was going to say your blood tested positive for soy sauce and methamphetamine.
What's crazy is the person who went to that restaurant and then did meth afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
They
Yeah,
would have
too.
they had no idea. They did double meth.
But I read how the restaurant's closing down because of all the like feedback they've gotten, like the hate they've gotten from it, the negative attention. And I'm thinking to myself, first off, it was in the soy sauce. Like it could have been the soy sauce company.
In the what?
I wasn't in the soy sauce.
No, say what was it in?
The soy sauce.
Okay. It sounded like you said something else.
Like what?
Like you pronounced soy wrong.
How would I pronounce soy wrong?
It's you're adding like an extra word. Like you're saying soy.
I
It sounds
don't
like
even
you're
wanna say
saying
it
it's like
anymore.
you're saying soy sauce.
Soy sauce.
Soy sauce. It's like you're adding an e at the end.
Soy.
It sounds like you're saying
I was not saying
soy
that.
sauce. Soy sauce.
We'll play it back later.
Anyway.
But it was in the containers.
Yeah.
Go after the company that bottled that stuff.
So they're still investigating it, and here's what I'm thinking happened.
Wait, what'd you say? Here's with an extra. Say it again.
Anyway, so here is what I am guessing happened: is clearly someone trying to traffic meth, and they thought, let me put it in soy sauce bottles because there's no way we're going to be able to, they're going to track it, and then the shipments got mixed up. The meth soy sauce ended up going to this restaurant.
Meanwhile, there's like a cartel
I know.
looking for missing methamphetamines.
Or they're sitting there and they're like, I got the good stuff, and they open up the packet and they're drinking it. And it's like, this is just soy sauce. That's the act that they
plot twist. Those guys now they didn't know what to do with it, so now they're opening up their own Japanese steakhouse because they have
like
so
it.
much.
I like it. And then continuing on in the news, this was close to being Moof of the Week. Texas officials say that a deceased body was found. They were called because they're like, uh-oh, there's a dead body out in the ditch. We need to go investigate it. They made a strange discovery out in Harris County, Texas, which I don't know exactly where that is. I guess it's kind of near Houston. I have no idea. But they thought that was a deceased female, and they're like, oh, we got a murder investigation, it's homicide. They went to inspect it. Turns out it was a silicone sex doll
Oh,
that someone had discarded off the side of the road. It was dirty and it was a bit dismembered. It had a pink bra on it, which I think is probably what made it seem more real.
all right. Is this a dry run for a serial killer to see if that's a good spot to put a body?
Oh, maybe. You know what? I didn't even think about that. I'm just thinking someone bought it, used it, immediately hated themselves. It's a regret. And it's just like, oh, I got to get rid of this.
Think of the most nefarious thing, situation here. Serial killer thinking about going on a murder spree, and he's like, oh, let me test this field, this area, and try and dispose of this fake body and see how long it takes. Now he has an idea of how long it would take for the body to be found.
And that's not a bad idea. I'm still thinking he went on that plane ride, the 2-minute plane ride that we talked about, how you can, in the air. And then the sex doll that he was using, oops, it fell off out of the plane.
He kicked it out?
And he kicked it out. Here's a photo of it, by the way, which is why people thought it was, because, it was covered.
That would look,
that's what I'm saying.
that would look legit,
with
like a dead body.
With the bra covered in mud and everything, like from afar, you could probably see it.
Oh,
Now,
for sure.
Now, again, I kind of like. I didn't even think about it.
Dust that off and throw it up on Craigslist for sure.
Use it again.
Just resell it.
Listen, man, times are tough, and sometimes
one man's trash is another man's treasure.
one man's discovered dead body is another man's nighttime of fun.
When they show the guy who found the body, one tarnation.
And that's what's going on. We obviously move along from what's going on to our moof of the week.
Just when I think you couldn't possibly be any dumber.
You are so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
You little stupid and wow.
I want to say move for the week.
You little dumb and wow.
All right, Matt. So have you seen, well, you remember back in the day, what was it, Santonio Holmes, I think? He's a football player that accidentally shot himself in the leg.
No, that wasn't him.
Well, that wasn't Santonio Holmes. There was a wide receiver, a famous wide receiver.
No, was it Victor Cruz?
No. I see now this is going to...
No, he played for the Giants.
Yeah, that's why I thought it was Santonio Holmes. All right, I'm going to look this up. Hold on. There was a... let's see. Wide receiver shot in leg. Plaxico Burress.
Yeah,
That's who it was.
Yeah, we never would have thought of that one.
Yeah, so, okay, you remember Plaxico Burress shot himself in the leg accidentally, and he got in trouble because it basically discovered that he had a gun across state lines, and that's how they discovered it, is that he shot himself. Do you remember that story? Okay.
Yeah.
And then have you also seen, like how dogs, they might be dreaming, they're chasing something, and they actually start moving their legs while they run, or they're dreaming. Like a dog will be dreaming, and they might be twitching their legs because you think that whatever. Well, this kind of combines the two. A man in suburban Chicago is facing firearms charges after he accidentally shot himself in the leg because he had a dream that an intruder was breaking into his home. Lake County Sheriff's deputies were called earlier when the 62-year-old man had a gunshot wound in one of his legs. He had applied his own tourniquet, called 911. He was losing a lot of blood, and he called on himself. He said, I had a dream that someone was breaking into my house. I had retrieved my .357 Magnum revolver and shot who I thought was the intruder, but because he was sleeping and laying down, he had pointed it directly at his leg and shot his leg, and he woke up from the dream. There was no burglary attempt. There was no anything. Basically, he got in trouble because they found out his firearm ID had been revoked. So he wasn't even allowed to have that gun.
He shoots, it hits his leg. You know what he says? Go ahead. I'll let you take a first guess. Any guess.
So now we always move along from our moof of the week to...
Tarnation!
It's to your favorite segment. So it's been 6 weeks. I had a lot of time to try to come up with some themes. So I was like, man, it's been a while. And during this time, not knowing when our next show is going to be, I have to think about, okay, what's the best song to do for it? What's something Matt will like, whatever. So I had a lot of time to think about it. I racked through a lot of songs. And so this is what I came up with. And here is the theme for Matt's Lonely Thoughts.
He's lonely.
There's the second verse.
I don't know if it packs the same punch.
He's lonely.
All right, Matt, what's your lonely thought?
First off, you could have just went like 2 moves or said something.
No,
move for later.
it's the theme for the segment. So I had to introduce the segment.
Well, Kenny, this one's based off of a
6
movie.
weeks.
This is based off of
6
a movie.
weeks.
Have you seen the movie Yesterday? Is what it's called.
Oh,
It's-
yeah, I have.
The premise behind it: this kid knocks himself out, comes back to at the hospital. He goes about his daily life and realizes the Beatles never were a thing.
I'm pretty sure we've talked about this before.
We probably have. It's a good movie.
And I'm pretty sure this upcoming thought is going to be very similar to what we've talked about before. But yes, keep it going.
You let me know.
Okay.
So he goes on and writes all the songs that the Beatles came up with, and he becomes like a celebrity star performing these songs.
Yes.
Right? All right, Kenny, if you were knocked out and came to and realized a certain performer or band or singer had never been in existence, and this was your opportunity
Yeah.
to capitalize on it, which band or which performer
Okay.
would you most easily be able to redo all their songs?
So, follow-up question. It was weird because the movie took place in today's world.
Yes.
So a lot of the Beatles songs kind of had an old-timey feel because you immediately want to say, oh, Elvis. But then it's like, do Elvis's song translate
But do you
to
know all of
2023?
Elvis's songs? Like all the lyrics?
Yeah, enough to be able to do that. So, but let me throw this out. So are we talking about I get knocked out and it's still 2023?
Yes.
Okay. Because that changes things. Because then, you can't really talk about like the old-timey ones because it's not going to sound as good.
Right.
So I would probably, and this is a legit answer, I know it's going to sound like a goof, I would say T-Pain. And the reason why is because he does the auto-tune. I would be introducing the world of auto-tune.
What
everyone.
percentage of his music do you think you know, like lyrically?
That's going to be tough. See,
I actually would have pegged you for something completely different.
well, if we're talking about like who I actually know the lyrics of,
Yeah.
it would be two. It'd be Fall Out Boy or Outkast. But the
Okay.
problem is, Fall Out Boy, it's not like they originated emo music. It's not like Outkast originated. Now, again, they were great. They had their power and everything, but it's not like I would be changing the world like how the dude did with the Beatles songs.
Okay. You don't. Okay, so I'm going to throw some out there and get your take on it. Michael Jackson.
Okay. Yes, I do know Michael Jackson songs.
Right,
and yes.
everybody, and they're classics, right? If Michael Jackson was never in existence, and all of a sudden his album of music came out, and you were the Michael Jackson,
Yeah.
Billie Jean, Bad, all of that. Like, I think that would
would.
hit crazy.
The asterisk to that is what made those songs also great
I don't know.
was the performance.
The dancing.
And if you can't match the performance,
Imagine you could practice maybe for like a week, right? And I bet you would be good at moonwalking.
But I'll tell you right now, you could still have hits with like Man in the Mirror, with Black or White. You know what I mean? Things that don't require as much dancing.
Oh, yeah.
That could still work.
Yeah.
The other one I was going to say, and this is actually gonna,
You could be like, all right, guys, we're gonna make this video. We're going to tie our wrists together and fight one another with a knife.
I like it. Keep it going. Keep it going.
And this next one is zombies coming back to life.
Oh, okay,
And
okay.
then I'm singing, and all of a sudden I turn into a zombie.
Oh, okay. That's good.
And
Twist.
it comes
Good plot
around.
Twist. Good plot twist.
It's
Okay.
huge for Halloween time every
Okay.
year.
All right.
Dude, I feel like Michael Jackson's the way to go.
I thought you were going to keep going. All right, now here's another one. Is Eddie Murphy available? Because I want to channel the old Egyptian times. Is he available? Is he going to be around? Can I get him?
Magic Johnson?
Yeah, yeah, he's still around. Yeah, we can do that. We can do that. The other one I was going to think of, and this would actually be quite easy, would be Skrillex, and introducing that whole dubstep trend because it's just computer noises.
But see, I don't know if that's going to like change the whole world. You know, what about?
Do you not remember how almost every single song for like a 3-year span had to have some sort of dubstep, electronic, like computer noises?
That,
Made so much money off of that. It would be like if I woke up, he didn't exist, and I did it. That's my 3 years. I'm set financially. I'm done. I don't got to do anything else.
Do you think that you could, if you got 3 other people,
Ooh, or like Deadmau5 because you just put the helmet on.
you get 3
Daft Punk.
Yeah,
You and I could do Daft
That's-
Punk.
The thing is, putting all the music together, you have the sounds in your head, right? But getting it out exactly how Daft
true.
Punk did would be difficult. If you got 3 other people, you could do like In Sync.
Well,
there's like
yeah.
so many
Yeah,
songs that
that's
you
true.
could do. Like, you know, if In Sync
But
was never
see,
around,
that's the
and you
thing.
came out with Bye Bye Bye,
That's true.
You came out with all
But-
these songs.
Backstreet Boys and 98 Degrees existed. And so your sound of this new boy band occurring in 2023 with these songs, while the songs would still be good and people would enjoy them, I think people would be like, why do we want to care about them? You know what I mean? Like, they're not going to have that
What if
popularity.
do you think you know more In Sync songs
Than
than
Backstreet,
you do
yes.
Backstreet
Oh,
Boys?
my God,
Well,
yes.
hold on. In Sync more than
Eh.
like T-Pain and Michael Jackson?
Not Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
Definitely more than T-Pain. Although another one, a goof answer would be Lil Jon, and all you have to do is just guest appear on a bunch of, and then it's like, shot. That's all you got to do. You just got to keep doing that.
Okay. What about? Okay. Here's one. It never existed. Weird Al Yankovic.
Ooh.
Because
okay.
you just come in and just he's the only one who does his type of work.
That's going to be. That's actually
Think
really
about okay,
good.
that's got to be the answer because
that's
you literally
really
you
good.
literally just pick up. You don't even have to know the lyrics.
Now-
You just make them up. But his idea.
Yeah. But let me.
You're not gonna change the
Let me
world,
throw this out there. In 2023, had Weird Al never existed, will people enjoy parody songs as much? Because I think the reason people remember Weird Al because he's been doing it for 40 years. You know what I mean? Like he's been doing it since the early 80s. So people already know parody Weird Al. If you just started doing that now, could you do Like a Surgeon? Could you do Eat It? Could you do,
That's the thing is like you actually wouldn't go back and redo those old ones. You would take new songs that are out now.
I agree.
I
but
feel
then,
like but your whole gimmick is you'd have to come up with the lyrics.
and that's true. But then you're just competing with every other YouTuber because there are many YouTubers that do parody songs. Now I know you would be the first one because we're
but
imagining a
but
world.
you could do the look. You could do all
with-
of that.
You'd have to teach yourself accordion. That's going to be the tricky part.
Down the drain.
I'm just saying, I really like that answer, but I don't know if you're going to have that much of an impact without time traveling. You know what I mean? Like if you were able to somehow go back in time and be the Weird Al starting in the 80s into today, that's going to change it. Now, for those of you who haven't seen the movie, it is a little bit of a plot twist that technically, what is it? John Lennon's still alive. You know what I mean? And
Oh,
it's,
yeah,
and
yeah,
it's one of those like, it's a whole meta thing.
In the movie yesterday. Yeah.
In the movie yesterday, it's a whole meta thing that technically John Lennon is still around and has a conversation with the dude. And then again, the punchline gotcha at the end is when they find out that another thing doesn't exist. Like
I don't remember what that
the
was.
the author, the famous author.
We'll talk about it after. I don't want to spoil it for
Yeah,
everybody
okay.
else, but I don't remember that.
It's not germane to the movie. It's just kind of one of those like a little LOL at the end. But anyway, so let's say you take it out of the music world. Is there any other pop culture person
that you could
actor,
step in and do it
Yeah.
and like really like
Now, it's-
like that you could remember everything?
like for example, it would be hard to say actor, right? But let's say I'm making this up.
You'd have to do like a direct. You'd have to
Well,
be.
how about this? Do you know the movie Napoleon Dynamite, right? Let's say, I don't know if it is, it's one of your favorite movies of all time, right? And you know that movie. Could you create Napoleon Dynamite? You know what I mean? In the sense
Right.
that
I think I have an answer
Yeah.
for this. What I would go and do is I would do like all Star Wars stuff. Like that's if Star Wars never existed and you were to say pitch it, to a studio and be like, here's the entire story.
Yeah.
You could arguably say I have 6 stories or I have 3 or
Yeah.
you could do the whole 9 and say I have the entire story arc. And you could like if you sat down and thought about it, you probably know a lot more of the scenes
I'm sure.
than you to know.
That's why I said something like Napoleon Dynamite, where it's one of those really weird avant-garde movies that becomes a cult classic. And I'm thinking, I could probably sit down and diagram each scene with the tots and
so let's take
and
them.
the
Let's
MMA
take
and
like so. Star Wars is great. It's but were they like blockbuster movies that like changed cinema? Like no. But let's say this. Let's say
you'd have to know
let's
it.
say like Christopher Nolan wasn't
Yeah.
around. Like, could you do not Christopher Nolan? Who did Titanic and Avatar? What's his name?
James Cameron.
James Cameron. If could you redo the Titanic movie?
I mean, yeah, but it didn't change the industry. Another epic movie would have come out. You got to think of something like the people who did the Blair Witch Project, because the whole found footage genre wasn't really a thing, and it opened up the door to now a flood of found footage horror movies.
Right.
So it would have to be something along those lines. Or, again, you can never pull this off because we don't know that world, but like, if Toy Story never existed, could we do a fully computer animated movie like Toy Story? You know what I mean? Now we're talking about like skill sets that are way beyond us. I still really do like the answer of Weird Al. Like, if the concept of parody songs never existed, could you be the first person and become famous doing parody songs, especially in the age of social media? Because you could
you could probably become more famous just doing
That's
it
what
on
I'm saying.
social media than trying to come out with an album.
You get the snippets on TikTok, which leads people to the full Facebook video, which, you sell the merch, you know what I mean? And you do the appearances, you easily do the concerts. I actually think you could pull that off. That's a good answer, man. Did you have that locked and loaded when you came up with that?
I had Michael Jackson locked and loaded,
Okay.
but then when we were talking about
Eat It.
yeah, that's it. It literally that was my thought process.
Did you know Michael Jackson loved Weird Al? That's the reason he allowed him to do Fat for Bad, because
Yeah.
he loved Eat It, thought it was hilarious.
Apparently, he always asked for permission from the artist.
Yes. Now, whether they gave it to him or not, that's a different story, because he technically always asks permission from the artist, but if the record company gives him permission, he's going to do it.
Yeah.
But he tries to play it cool and be like, I want to get the whatever. But Michael Jackson actually wanted him to do like almost all of his songs. So like it was one of those where, but Michael Jackson also knew he didn't want to ruin how good the other ones were.
Yeah.
So he's like, hey, don't do all of them, just do some of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then it's funny. You're bad at throwing that. Sorry, he's playing with Alf and he keeps throwing his toy into the wall. Anyway, that was a good hypothetical, man. I think Weird Al is the correct answer, and I think if we were to
Yeah,
extend
you were about to shit on my hypothetical, saying I was reusing a hypothetical.
well, because there's one before, like if you go back in time and introduce something to people who had never seen it, and mine would be breakdancing.
Oh, okay.
Like to go back in time and be the first person to do
Imagine
a
going back.
spinneroonie.
Imagine going back to like the 1920s, and it's like people doing the foxtrot and
Yeah.
shit, and and you just step out and you move everyone back, and you go and you pull like in Back to the Future, like follow me with the chords, blah
Yeah.
blah 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 blah, and then the drummer's like going and you like doing some up rocking, and then you just start going into the windmill, and everybody in the audience goes, "One tarnation." I say good day.
That's gonna blow out the damn speakers.
One tarnation. You have to do it with a weird face.
Obviously.
What's your one tarnation face?
One tarnation.
I look like the fucking bushwhackers from WWE.
That's good.
WWF.
Why do they walk like this? All right. Thanks, Facebook. We will catch you later.